All right, Wayne, or what do you prefer, Wayne or Beast Move?
People call me a lot of things. A lot of people just call me Batman.
Batman,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah, but
For obvious reasons.
right. The fight name is Batman Smoov,
Mm-hmm.
so don't forget the Smoov. You know, but Wayne, Batman, whatever, Batman Smoov, Beast Move, it all
Yeah.
works. I'll answer to anything pretty much.
And then just to dive right into that,
Yeah.
how did you? Why Batman? Like, what about Batman inspired you, or
Yeah.
how did was that a nickname you had for a long time?
So how I got the fight name Batman Smoov, right? I've had this robe so long, I don't even remember where I got it. I don't remember when I got it. It's just always been mine. I've had it. This was originally my rave robe, dude. I used to go to some crazy raves in this thing, but I walked into the gym with this robe on after like 3 months of training as I was getting ready for my first experience in the ring, my first technical sparring. And I walked in and my coach, Tony, he was like, "Damn, bro, you're Smoov. You're Batman Smoov." He just went off with it and then just came up with the name. And so I just took it and ran with it, man.
Awesome.
So that's where Batman Smoov came from. But Batman, like, when I was a little kid, Spider-Man was my OG superhero, you know. I was into Spider-Man, all that. And then at some point, I don't even know when it happened, but like, I just started relating with Batman more, a lot more. And then I love the fact that he's just a guy, you know, regular, like his whole thing is just, he's the epitome of what a human could be. He pushes himself to the extremes. He's what we could push ourselves to be, you know, like you could be Batman. You can't be the Flash. You're not going to get struck by lightning and get super speed. That's not going to happen, but potentially you could push yourself to be like Batman. So I guess that's why I gravitated towards him. I'm a lifelong athlete and I've been pushing myself my whole life. So it kind of just fit right in.
Yeah. So I want to dive into your background a little bit with the lifelong athlete thing, kind of start at the roots, but just while we're on the subject, is that a big motivation for you? Like you're saying, Batman is kind of the epitome of like what a human could be.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to be? Are you just trying to like understand your own potential and try to achieve it?
Yeah, I feel like I've been on a pretty long journey of like discovering myself, discovering what I'm meant to do with my life, what I'm here for, and and along that train of thought, I've just been on this journey of tapping in and discovering my full potential, you know, and seeing what I can do and what I could become. And I've really, you know, I've experienced a lot of things in this life. I'm 26. I'm not old, but I've lived enough life to like experience a lot of loss and a lot of like I understand how valuable this time that we have here is, and you really only have one life to live, you know. So I'm trying to just maximize that potential and live life to the fullest and reach my own potential, because you know, I don't know, I'm not one to just sit and be cozy and be a cog in the system and go work a 9 to 5. I'm trying to see what I can make with this life, you know, and live it to the fullest. So here I am, you know. Yeah, this is my work outfit. It's dope.
So it seems like freedom.
Yeah, freedom.
Motivator for
Yeah,
you.
big time. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I think that's I've seen that in the martial arts world. It's like there's a certain freedom in just like understanding your own body, like working towards mastery of your own.
Yeah, self-mastery, and not just the physical, but the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, all that, just all of it. The physical is just one part of it, and I will say, like, lifelong athlete, football was my main thing, but only doing martial arts for the past almost 2.5 years, I'm like the most flexible I've ever been. I feel good physically, way better than I was playing football and all that stuff. Like, so physical wise, I love martial arts. I suggest it to everyone. I feel great, but aside from the physical stuff, the mental stuff, like I'm only getting stronger every day mentally. And I mean, doing all this stuff that I'm trying to do here, you know, it takes a certain capacity. So I'm just trying to grow that capacity every day. You know.
Let's dive into that a little bit. So it's you mentioned a couple, but like what are the most important lessons you've learned as a fighter, but not like, I'm coming on the strength and conditioning angle, so it's so it's like I can relate at least on the physical sense, but I'm just curious, like emotionally, mentally, spiritually, like what non-physical lessons have you learned in your martial arts journey, your athlete's journey?
I would say that like it's given me a unique perspective because I've only been fighting for 2 years, only been training and competing in combat sports for 2 years. But like you said, I've been a lifelong athlete. So I've always been an athlete, I've always competed, but I've been fighting for the past 2 years. But I can tell you from my experience with life, like living life, getting through life is much more of a fight than like doing a fight camp and jumping in the ring with someone. So this stuff is, it's what I do as an athlete. I like to think that I could jump into any sport and perform. Because I'm an athlete. I'm not just a fighter. I'm not just a football player. But when it comes,
what is that? Like, just dive a little deeper into like what.
Is it potential, I guess.
Is it like, are you coordinated? Is that what it is? Or is it more like, you know where to focus and you know how to like calm yourself on the moment? Like what do you think it is that like, what are the core abilities that allow you to be adaptable in different sports, different combat sports, martial arts? Since I've seen sometimes unexpected people are really good at like anything, like
right.
Trash cannonball, like
right. I think it really is just the mindset.
Yeah.
I tell people this all the time. Like fighting is not physical; it's mental. Like, I mean, I don't believe on putting myself in a box, or like I'm not a number. I'm not a statistic. I don't belong to this group. I can do anything. If I say that I can, I'm gonna do it. So that's how I think of myself. And if so, like I grew up track and field, then baseball, then football, and then every other school sport, and that's just how I grew up. Like if I'm an athlete. I always thought of myself as an athlete. So I'm gonna show up to whatever I'm doing. It could be beach volleyball with like just the homies casually, but I'm tearing that up. Like it could be anything, and I'm showing up. That's just how I've always been. I've always thought of myself as being like that multi-tool. Or for now we're doing Muay Thai, so elbows are allowed, knees are allowed, clinch is allowed. Mm-hmm. This last fight I just did kickboxing, so no elbows, and I've never thrown an accidental elbow when I wasn't supposed to. I have really good control, so I think that just comes from playing a life of sports. All the different school sports, all that. Just having that ability to switch and have that control, just because I've been doing it forever. Sorry, I forgot the original question.
No, we're just kind of following the threads here. And again, like the core question is like, what are your values in the context of your life story? So like, just trying to uncover your life story, and then just really peel back the layers of like, what's the underlying value in this belief system. So take me back a little bit. What's your athletic history? You mentioned a few of the sports there, but like, you said football was your main sport. So what other sports did you play, and then when did you transition to combat sports, and like what was the incident that did you walk into a gym and fall in love immediately, or did one of your friends do it? How did you make that switch?
Right, so when I was really young, before I could put on the pads, track was my main thing. I was fast. I would move around to every school. Like I moved all around the Bay Area when I was younger. Every new school I would go to, I could be like a third grader, and I would call out the fifth graders. I would just race everyone. Every school I went to, I would just race kids at recess. That's all I did, and I would just smoke them on the recess. So every new school, I just had to dominate. I just had to make sure I was the fastest. And I guess I've always just had that competitive drive from a young age, and it just stuck with me. I wasn't much of a talker when I was younger. I was more of a doer. So I would just like show up and like, there's a ton of new kids. I wasn't really like talking with them, but when it was time to do something or perform, then I would just like let my actions speak louder than words. So I would just like put on a show and then be like, hey, what's up? That's kind of how I did it when I was younger. And then that kind of when I finally got old enough to put on football pads, that just like I found what I was meant to do. That's what it felt like for the first 2 decades of my life. I thought I was going to be in the NFL. I was grinding towards that, and football was my dream. Football was my life. But other areas of my life were suffering, and it held me back a little bit in school. I might have held myself back a little bit in school, this or that, whatever happened, and I ended up not going to college, but I played semi-pro football after I started playing while I was still in high school, and then played for a couple seasons after that. So I played all the other sports. I did baseball, I did basketball, but football was my main thing growing up. So those were all casual just to keep me in shape, but football was the thing I was dedicated to. And then I went to Seaholm High School, played for them. After that, played for the Bellingham Bulldogs, our local semi-pro team. And then I moved down south to Everett, was gonna join the Arlington Grizzlies down there. And then I ended up just diving into work. I got a new aerospace job. I started doing a bunch of work. So that was essentially, that was like 2018 or 19 or something like that. So that was the first time in my life that I wasn't in a sport. Like my whole entire life, I grew up playing sports, year-round athlete, all that stuff. Finished the semi-pro career, and then at that point I was like, well, I'm not going any further with this. I'm not going to the NFL, blah, blah, blah. I'm just gonna I'm kind of just doing this for fun at this point. And so, time to focus on life and get real. So I just focused on work, I was down there doing my thing. And then next thing you know, like 5 years go by or something like that, and I switched fields. I went from aerospace, I was doing landscaping, I was building houses, doing house remodels, doing all that construction work, and I just got burnt out, man. I just got really, I had to sit there when I was like 21 or 22 or something. I'm 26 now, or maybe, no, it was a little after that. But I was really sitting there at the end of like 2021, I think. And really contemplating what I was gonna do. So I'm trying to get all the times. I think I'm just messing up all the timelines in my head, whatever, but I guess the year doesn't really matter. I was 24, so it was only a couple years ago, and I quit my job, my construction job. I walked out because I got really, going back to like the physical, emotional, spiritual part of the aspect, whatever. I was really not in a good place mentally and emotionally, and a year prior to that point, my best friend and father figure passed away, and then like 2 days after that, my I guess emotional support animal, essentially, my little bird, that I had a little parrot, and then I was like mourning the loss of my friend, and then she died like right after him. And then so it was like the anniversary of that, and I was just really stressed out, bro, and I was like not sure what I was gonna, I just felt like I was wasting my life, and I was just really depressed about all that kind of stuff and some other stuff that was going on in my life.
What was being wasted? Like, what was it? We've talked about like freedom
I just
and
felt
then
like
achieving
my
physical potential. Like,
yeah.
Was it something like that?
I've always been I guess it comes from just being an athlete and just growing up with that vision. I was very dedicated as a young kid, and all I did was sports. That was my life. Outside of sports, life was rough. Life kind of sucked. My home life wasn't it, and so I just poured myself into sports, and that was my life. That was my therapy. That was my escape from everything. And sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
But just to make it was it even more, diving into what you just said, and then tying it into something you said earlier. You said you were kind of the quiet one. You just show up and let your actions speak. Was that?
Yeah.
And then it was also your therapy. So do you think you kind of had other areas of your life that were hard, and sports came to you naturally? So you're just kind of like I don't know. Does that tie in? Does the fact that you're kind of like the quiet athlete tie in with the fact that you're using athletics to express yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Especially now, I can see that now with my martial arts career, like even when I was younger, because of how old I was and what I was experiencing back then, like I was very quiet. Like you're supposed to be vocal on the football team and yell at your teammates and stuff, and I'd be back there as a safety, just like dropping back. I should be yelling out plays and stuff, but I'm just like watching the field and just like doing me, you know. So I was definitely a little more quiet, but like I've definitely grown into my person a little more, and it's allowed me to gain more confidence in myself and be able to express myself more.
And was it just getting older, getting more experiences that allowed you to grow into that person, or was it starting martial arts and kind of like finding your lane? Or was
I feel like a combo of both, but like definitely.
When did you start to notice it, that you're like expressing like your true self? But
yeah, when I like started doing this, man. Yeah, pretty much like.
And what was the difference between that and football, what you've been doing your whole life?
Mm-hmm.
And like
football, I was, it's not like. So when you're playing football, you're on a team of what, like, there's 11 people on the field, I think, per team or something like that. So I didn't forget everything, but it's easier to get like. It's easier to just get lost in the crowd, Like I was really good, but we had like one of my teammates is in the NFL right now. We had talent on our team, We had a good team, and then just the person that I was back then, I wasn't like outspoken. It was hard for me to speak up, So I was really good. I was very talented, and I kind of just let my like actions speak for themselves, But I wasn't really aggressive, and wouldn't like. I'm not really confrontational, but especially back then. So. Sorry, I keep losing my chain of thought.
Yeah. No, you're good. So the question that I got you sidetracked on was like, what about martial arts allowed you to express your true self?
Oh yeah, we were talking about, so yeah, like it's easy to get lost in that because it's a big team sport, but like fighting, it's still a team sport. I train with people a lot, but like you're in there by yourself, and it's just you and one other person, and it's all on you, like all the training you've done, like your coach could put everything into you, but it's like in that moment, in those couple seconds potentially, it comes down to you and what you do, and I don't know, I feel like combat sports, like my whole life has been leading up to combat sports. Like it's something that I never thought that I would actually do realistically until I was older, just because like I was doing the school sports, and they didn't have that in school. And then if I wanted to box or something, that was going to be like extra money that we didn't have, type of thing. So I never thought I would actually be here. But now that I'm here, like it's definitely like I've pictured myself doing this my whole life. It's definitely something that I feel like all of my like athletic ability has been leading up to, I guess. I've been able to really translate everything I've learned from football. Some people, like football players, I guess, don't have the best track record when transitioning to combat sports. At least that's what I've heard, but like I think the skills that I've learned from being a safety, from being a DB, dropping back for years of my life, working on all those footwork drills, all as a wide receiver, fighting hands off the line, and doing like I feel like all that stuff is translated over to fighting very well. All the stuff I'm doing with Muay Thai, clinch, like I've been doing hand fighting my whole life, so it's obviously different, but I feel like that's the reason why I'm a switch fighter. That's the reason why I move the way I move. I'm a very unorthodox striker. Like I catch people with weird, awkward strikes all the time just because they're not expecting it, and that comes from my football background and just my athletic background. So, but I love it. I feel like fighting and martial arts has given me a platform to grow into the person that I'm meant to be, you know. And I'm not there yet. I'm always a work in progress. I don't think I'll ever be there, but you know, you're always a work in progress. But you know, today I'm here talking about it, and a couple years ago I probably wouldn't be. So
yeah, it's just incrementally getting towards that goal as possible to actually reach, but just
right.
The little weight line gets smaller the more that I climb, you know. And he's on the top, but still, there's always
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always another mountain to climb.
Yeah, but it's the climb itself that's the point, you know. It's not getting to the top. It's striving to get to the top, and
it's who you become on the way up.
Investing yourself into that.
Yeah, for real.
All right, so let's shift gears a little bit. I kind of want to build out like the context of how you got to where you're at.
Yeah.
How you became Batman Smoov. But looking forward, what is it that you want to accomplish with fighting, beyond fighting, and then once we kind of establish that, I'm curious like what the steps are to get there. Since fighting is interesting because it's hard, you know. It's like it's hard to like make it work. Like there's some people that are very successful, but it's hard to get to that level. So it's you know, I've met people that are just doing all like they're teaching it or they're making content. You know, it's just like you gotta get creative outside of the training room to make it all work. So let's start with where are you trying to go? What are your goals?
Yeah, so near future, I'm just trying to continue on with my amateur career. Right now, I'm deep in my amateur career. I'm about 2.5 years into it now.
And how many fights in that month?
I just had my 22nd fight last Saturday.
So that's like 10 fights a year. That's
I had 8 fights in year 1, and then I had 12 fights in year 2, and this is year 3, and we've only had 2 fights this year because I've been taking it slow, working on business, doing other things. But yeah, 22 fights in 2 years. I had the first 21 fights were in 25 months, so 21 fights in a 25 months time span. So that's almost a fight a month, you know. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. That's a crazy stretch right there. That was crazy. I'm pretty blessed to still be healthy. Most of those fights were just like, bam, bam, on to the next one, you know. I potentially have a fight on the 11th, so same deal. On to the next one.
Do you go find fights, or do people approach you?
At this point, they just come to me, bro. At this point, they just but I've been pursuing some fights that I want to do, and this year I made it a thing to not fight as often as I have been, you know, because that's a lot of fights, and I feel like I did what I needed to do. I did all those fights. I established myself. That's what I wanted, you know. My whole mindset coming into this, and the reason why I fought so often was because I felt like I was behind the ball. I'm a lifelong athlete, but I've only been doing martial arts, combat sports for not even 2.5 years, you know. I started January 10th, 2022, to tie back to an earlier question. That's how I got started. I just walked past the gym, Zero Sum Martial Arts in Bellingham, Washington. I got lucky. I quit my job, that construction job. I was kind of lost, and I just walked by the gym, and that's when I met my crew, Tony Garcia at Zero Sum. And since that day, January 10, 2022, like within the first minute of us talking, we knew that we were going to be in this position. We knew that we were going to lock in together, and we were going to grind together until we went pro. And that's what we're doing. 2.5 years later, 11-4, 22 plus fights, double champ. We're doing pretty good, you know. So I'm happy to be part. I'm grateful. I'm glad that I just stumbled into their gym, you know. And none of this would be possible. Everything I'm doing now, none of it would be possible without Zero Sum. So I'm grateful for that. And
I'll put their website and social media and stuff
awesome.
in the description.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. ZeroSumMartialArts.com.
All right, so you walk into Zero Sum.
Yeah.
You get started training. You get get to the point where you're like, I'm gonna fight. You build as much experience as possible.
Yeah, and then I wanted to fight, tie it back to what I was saying, sorry, I wanted to fight as much as possible because I felt like I was behind the ball, because I'd be fighting, I went into this knowing that I'm going to be fighting people who have been training their entire lives, like how I was with football, you know, but they've been doing it their whole lives with fighting, so I knew I was behind in that aspect, so I wanted to just jump into the fire. So I took as many fights that were available to me. I started training January, my first fight was April, and that was against the same guy who I just fought last Saturday. We had a trilogy fight, so tied it back. We fought beginning of my career, we fought a year later, he was my 12th fight, and then we fought a year later again. Almost 2 years. Our first fight was April 23rd, 2022, and our third fight was April 27, 2024. So it's almost 2 years to the day. Yeah, so it was cool, and I won. So yeah, so let's go. It was cool. Yeah, but getting sidetracked.
So when you decided to shift away from taking all the fights you could to slowing down the pace a little bit, what was kind of the vision with that?
Yeah, I felt like I did the work and I established myself. I did what I wanted to do. I jumped in the fire. I got my experience. You know, I've only been a martial artist for not even 2.5 years, but I already have more fights than most of my opponents who I fight. So that's, and the way I view that is experience. You know, like you guys have years of experience, but I have in ring, like if you add up all the fight minutes or whatever, like my minutes way outweigh your minutes, you know, and those are very valuable to me, in my eyes, those are valuable minutes. So that's the way I learned, like, especially year one, when I was so fresh and so new and still awkward and just getting my legs underneath me. It took over 1.5 years for me to stop fighting like a football player and fight like a fighter. But I was just so awkward. So every fight, it was like I was leveling up. That was my mindset. Like I would just jump in, do this fight, go to the next one and get better, go to the next one, get better, go to the next one, get better. And so having that mentality, fighting 8 fights in 1 year, fighting 12 fights in the next year, you know, back to back, I was, like, I feel like this whole entire time, it's kind of funny, but I feel like I've never done like a real fight camp. Because I've just been in it, you know, I've just been in it. You know, most fighters they'll set a certain date, like it'll be 3 months or whatever, however long their camp is, and they'll do their camp, then they do their fight, and it's a whole big thing. But for me, I was just in it, you know, it was just fight after fight after fight, and it was fun, man. It was fun. I love it.
Were you like researching each opponent, watching all the tape? Or just
No, I don't care. No, I fight anyone, anytime, any place, any weight. I've taken 3 205 fights, and I fought them at my walk-around weight. I was like 191 to 196 for those. I did not care. Yeah. I was 5-0 at the time, and I was like, whatever, bro, we're moving up. And I went on a 3-fight losing streak, and it was awesome, dude. It was cool because I came back to the 185 division feeling untouchable after doing that with the 205ers. And I was you know, fighting them at my walk-around weight, competing with these 205ers, cutting weight from whatever they were, and I was banging with them. I lost the first one, was a 205 kickboxing title fight, and you know, he got me, but it was a good fight. And the next 2 were split decision losses, which could have gone my way. You know, they were good wars. So I feel proud of all of those. You know, even my losses, I don't feel any type of way about them. You know, I feel proud of those. So yeah.
And so now that you're doing less frequent fights, are you doing the full training camp, or has that?
No, I'm trying now. It feels like I'm training less now because I'm doing more things outside of just being a fighter. Like being a fighter in itself, like I'm trying to be a professional athlete. Like that alone is hard, you know. But on top of that, I've added being a business owner, trying to do all these different things. I manage this collective. I'm doing different things, you know. So I'm trying to be all over the place. I'm not trying to do things normal. Like I said earlier, I'm not a cog in the system. I'm trying to make my own system. You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing the most right now so that I can enjoy that in my later years and just not have to stress, have that freedom, you know? Yeah.
And in a second, I want to circle back to kind of the business stuff that you're doing and the collective and talk about that. But just to finish out this fight discussion, like, what are your goals as a fighter? And then, like, from where you're at right now, what are the steps? Just in the fight, and then we'll talk about the business stuff after. But just in the fight realm, like, what is it going to take to get to where you're going, and where is that?
Yeah. So the way I see it, I'm like halfway through my amateur career right now. I could go pro right now, but I'm not. I want to do it right, you know. So the ultimate goal, the end goal, I'm a combat sports athlete. I'm not a Muay Thai fighter. I'm not an MMA fighter. You know, I'm not one thing. I can do anything and everything. So you'll see me box. Right now I have like 4 boxing matches. Most of them are Muay Thai, and then like a good handful of them are kickboxing. But out of those 22 fights, most of them are Muay Thai. Eventually I'm gonna get into MMA. My ultimate goal is to compete with one championship. Eventually I would love to be a multiple sport champion. I want to do, you know, I got the kickboxing amateur belt, the kickboxing or the Muay Thai amateur belt. One day eventually I would like to make those pro belts along with the MMA pro belt, and we'll see what happens when I get on the ground, you know, start grappling. You know, if I could get a grappling belt, you know, one championship, that's cool because they're unique. They do all of that. They got grappling, kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA. I love the UFC, and maybe I'll make a run through there one day. But my dream is to go to one. That's what I really want to be.
What is it about one that you like? Since in the United States, I know in Asia, one is arguably more popular than UFC, but here in Bellingham, Washington, the United States, there's a lot more UFC fans. So, and I think that's cool. Like, I think one is really cool too. But like, what is it about one that you personally like, and you see yourself there as a fighter?
When it comes down to it, man, it's really just about being like an athlete and being dominant and being a savage. Like, I'll beat you in MMA, but why? Like this trilogy fight I just had. Our first 2 fights were in Muay Thai. That was awesome. The first one technically was an exhibition, so technically no winner. Some say I won, some, you know, whatever. The second one was a sanctioned Muay Thai, so I beat him in that one outright. And then we just ran it back for a trilogy. We switched it up and we went to kickboxing. So it changed the dynamic of the fight a little bit. It removed the clinch. We clinched heavy our last 2, took that out, and forced us to just purely strike. You know, so we went at it with it's still a fight, you know, but it's not the same. It's a little different. And so I'll beat you in Muay Thai. I'll beat you in kickboxing. You want to run it back, Dex? We could go to MMA. I love you, brother, but I'll beat you in MMA. That's all I'm saying, you know? I will beat you in every sport. You want to box? We could put on the gloves, and I'll box, dude. I will do anything. My first time ever boxing someone, I wasn't prepped for it. It was supposed to be a kickboxing fight, and they changed the rules, and they switched to boxing, and so I showed up and I boxed him. And
Did you train boxing?
No, not at all.
So your first real boxing experiences in the ring.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's my mentality, bro. I'm a fighter. Like, I will do anything. Boxing is part of Muay Thai. I throw hands. I will throw hands with anybody. I don't care. I'll figure it. And I did. I figured it out. You could tell. You could see me if you watch the tape, figuring it out on the fly. Because round 1, I looked like a Muay Thai fighter, standing up straight off, figuring out round 2 and round 3. I got a lot better with the boxing, and then it's just, so I literally just learned on the fly. Like, that's what I do. I'll go play a game of cricket right now, and I guarantee you by the end of the game I'll be good. I'll be decent. I've never played it before, but that's my mentality. I'll go into anything and perform.
There's Andrew Wiggins.
I don't think so.
It's just a basketball player, but he has a line where he's like, whatever sport you want to play, I'm gonna beat you up. You want to play trash can ball? You wanna race down the aisle? Like, I'm gonna win. You name the rules, and I'll deliver the victory.
Exactly.
But, Cool. And so then, all goes according to plan. You get to one championship. What do you want to accomplish in one championship?
I want to be, ultimate goal. If you want to shoot for the stars and dream big, I want to have a belt in all those sports. And if you want to dream really big, I want to have a belt in multiple weight classes in all those sports. You know what I'm saying? So that's such a common thing now in the UFC and pro sports, whatever. You double champ this, double champ that.
Champ.
Champ. Exactly.
The second you said champ.
Champ. Yeah, exactly. For real. Not everyone's trying to be champ.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
champ.
Exactly. So if everyone's a champ, how do you outdo a champ? You just quadruple that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm trying to do it big. I'm trying to, like I said, you only got one life to live. You can only do this once. So I'm trying to go big.
And then, from like a systematic perspective, what do you think it's going to take to get there? Just in the training and the prep and the experience building, like what types of patterns do you think you're going to have to like get into and align with to get you to that goal?
Just get more goal oriented. Just hammer down on my why more and just figure out like priorities, man. Because I try to be a very efficient, very productive person, but I ain't perfect. I do waste a lot of time with superficial stuff. So I'm just trying to get it sharp, get it straight, cut all that stuff out. Even the stupid stuff like Instagram, like I use it for business. I don't have a personal account. That's my fighter page, and I definitely use it for business and growing the brand, exposure, and all that stuff. But I could also just sit there for an hour and waste 2 hours and do nothing, just numb my mind away. So I'm just trying to get more like just on top of my thing, and then just grind more. Like I work every day at this, but just being more efficient and building a team. That's what I've been trying to do recently, because I've been solo dolo for a minute, just going at it, and my capacity is only so big. I can do a lot, but I'm also trying to do a lot. I'm trying to be a pro athlete, business owner, entrepreneur, all this stuff. I'm trying to do a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff in the works that I'm cooking up behind the scenes. So it takes a lot. So I'm trying to organize a team. You just met one of my partners, AJ, down there, and we're building something. So yeah.
All right, and so that kind of leads. I wanted to kind of see what your vision is for the fight career, and then I wanted to circle back to the business stuff. So talk to me about that a little bit, and like, what is it like to balance just like a life with rent and responsibilities along with fighting, since you have to put so much into fighting. So like, what has your experience been like balancing that? How's it worked so far, and what have you kind of found out on?
It's been a real crazy experience, man. I'm a very non-traditional person. I'll do things very non-traditionally, because I'm not one, like I said earlier, I'm not a statistic. I don't belong in any box you try to put me in. I'm not a number. I will do things very unorthodox because I see my end goal. Like it works for me, and I'm trying to get there as fast as possible. And a part of me already feels like I'm late or behind the ball. Everything happens when it's supposed to, but I'm fresh out of high school doing this and that, whatever, it didn't happen. But for example, when I made the decision to quit my job and leave the construction world, stop doing house remodels, I did that so that I could put, it's a very common thing, where a fighter will be working a job and then train, go to the gym, train, working, train, blah, 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 whatever. But the way I saw it is like, if I just cut out my job, because it's a very physical job, very demanding, it takes most of my time. If I figure out a way to cut that out completely, then I could dedicate all of that time and energy into this, and then get to the end goal faster, versus it'll take me 2 years instead of 4, was my mindset when I started, So I quit my job. I moved out of the place I was living in. I got a van, and I just like converted it, and I was living in this van for a little bit, you know. Since then, I've had a crazy journey of living at different people's places, you know. I was in a relationship for a little bit, was back in the van, was here, was there, bouncing around, just making it happen, you know. I'm a nomad naturally. Like, I've lived in my car at different times, at different points in my life. A couple times not on purpose, a couple times on purpose, you know. But like, I'm the type of person, like, all my stuff. I have the smallest car in the world. If you know me, you know what I drive, and all of my stuff fits in there. I don't have stuff. I'm a minimalist, you know. The only stuff outside of that is like my motorcycle, and that's in the garage, you know. But I really don't have a lot of things because I don't need anything. I just need like me and like my laptop, and that's all I need. I need clothes, and that's about it. So I've just been grinding and single-minded with my goal to become a pro athlete and to change. Like, I grew up in poverty, you know. I don't come from generational wealth. I don't come from any of that. I come from struggle. I come from like top ramen and mayonnaise sandwiches and that kind of thing, you know. So it's funny because I look good, and people always ask me about my nutrition, and I'm like, don't ask me, bro. I eat top ramen still. Like, I just work out all the time. Like, that's why I look like I do. But don't ask me for food tips, bro. You know, I'm just eating what I can. So I'm just grinding and trying to be single-minded and get to the point where I can change my family tree, you know, and that's my goal, to change the family tree and create some generational wealth. And, you know, I want to have a family one day and have them grow up and not the type of life that I grew up in, you know, and actually do life the right way, you know. That's how I've always viewed it. Yeah, so that's what I'm working towards. Just grinding. Yeah.
Yeah, that's admirable. And do you think about that? Like, you mentioned earlier that when I was asking like, what are the steps to get you to that next level? One thing I thought was interesting you said is like, keep digging into my why. Is that a big part of your why? Like, is that something you meditate on, you think about when you're training and when you're, you know,
yeah,
get through the
yeah, 100%. Like, I won't say this like being cocky or being overconfident or whatever, but I've definitely beaten people before just purely off of mindset, you know, like knowing that they put in more of a camp than me because I've been dealing with life stuff and haven't been in the gym enough. But like that is the strongest thing about me is my mindset. It's not this, it's this. That's this, like, you can't beat me. I'm unbreakable when it comes to my mentality, you know. So even like this last fight, I definitely did not train enough, and I knew he was gunning for me, trying to get me back, you know. Trilogy and all that. So I knew he was gunning for me, but I'm sharp, man, and I knew like I don't have any other option, you know. I'm going to go in the fire, and I'm going to perform, and I'm going to come out the other end. And if I don't, I'll be better for it, you know. I got dropped in my first title fight. I've never been knocked out, you know, knock on wood, but he caught me, and I just feel better for it, you know. So at the end of the day, if you get me, good job. That means you really earned it because I'm a hard motherfucker to beat mentally, you know, and that's what fighting is to me. It's mental. So that's why I'm able to do the things that I do. That's why I'm able to perform like back to back to back. Last year, I think November or December, I think I fought much, dude. Life is a video game, bro. Every day I'm just trying to level up, bro. Just get my XP in. For real, bro. We'll do 1,000 kicks on the bag, and that's light work, you know. Like, what did Bruce Lee say? He doesn't fear the man who did 10,000 kicks. He fears the man who did one kick 10,000 times. And sometimes I'll come in the gym and I'll train on like 2 different things: the heavy bag and the dingle bag, and that's for my hands. And I'll just be kicking that, and then the tire tree, and that'll be my whole day. I'll spend all day just like getting my hands sharp, and then kicking the tire tree for shin conditioning, and then just heavy bag, also shin conditioning, and then just all the kicks. Bro. I'll whip in 1,000 kicks, 500 teeps, 500 teeps. Just numbers, just reps, you know, like, yeah, just be efficient with your time. If you only got an hour in the gym, just get in there and crunch time and just go bust it out. You know, you'll do good work in an hour if you put your mind towards it, you know. So, but yeah, just grab the XP, level up, man. Yeah, that's what I hope to do every day.
All right, so looking like forward, like, have you thought about life beyond fighting, or what kind of business goals do you have? In addition to fighting.
Right. So, I love being. I love that question because that's like a big thing with fighters. You'll see even like good fighters, some really great fighters actually. Like all they're known for is their fighting, you know. And then you love them or hate them, you know. But there's fighters like Conor McGregor who, like, obviously he's a superstar, but it's not just from fighting. It's because he capitalized on the spotlight you get, or whatever, the initial money you get, whatever. He's got the whiskey, he's got this and that, he's got all these different businesses, you know. And that's really where I come from. Like, down to my core, I'm an athlete and I'm an entrepreneur, and those are who I am at my core. I've always been. Even when I was younger, like in high school, I was just so like cog in the system. I hated high school. I was so against it, but I'm not against education. I love education, but I hate the public school system. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I would educate myself on other things and things that I thought were like important. So since I was like 17, 18, I've been on a journey of entrepreneurship and education, and I'm just trying to merge the 2 things together, you know. So with entrepreneurship and athletics, you know, and sports, and so I'm trying to. I'm not just trying to be a fighter. I'm not trying to be one-dimensional. I'm trying to attack it from different angles. Right now we're sitting inside of my studio in downtown Bellingham, down inside of Headquarters Collective. The studio is called Smoov Fitness, and
I'll put that link in.
Yeah.
As well.
Nice, thanks, brother. So yeah, we just opened our doors in January, and just got the ball rolling here, trying to get some traction going. I'm really excited about this because like I said, I'm not trying to be one-dimensional. I'm not just trying to be a fighter. I'm trying to be in the fight world in so many different angles: fighter, coach, business owner. Maybe I'll even own my own promotion one day. We'll see what happens. Put on my own fights, you know, and do it with a little Smoov flair. You know what I'm saying? So mix it up. But I have a lot of ambition and a lot of goals, and I'm trying to capture the fight world. I'm not just trying to be a fighter. I'm trying to take it all. You know, I'm trying to maximize my potential. So that's what really this is all about. Is just unlocking my full potential and just seeing what I can do with my time here. You know.
That's something. I mean, I'm really just a fight fan. I've trained my fair share, but it's mostly watching from the outside. But I think there's definitely a part of the fight world that is artistry and a part that's entertainment, like the business side. And I think the people who are really like, they're not like, there's some people who are they're just focused on the training, the conditioning, you know. And even if they have success, the people who are focusing on the entertaining as well, the entertainment as well, they're like, they kind of get the extra opportunities, you know, like the cookie's gonna crumble their way. Because at the
trying to do that in
kind of
both
grow
ways.
all
Right.
aspects.
Yeah, I'm trying to be the best of both worlds when it comes to that. Be entertaining, but also a high level fighter. You know.
Yeah.
So like put me on your card, you're gonna get a good show from both aspects. You know. And that's what I do now. If you watch any of my amateur fights, you know, watch the last one, All City Fight Night 7, High Voltage. It'll be on YouTube soon. My last one, All City Fight Night 6, was my Muay Thai title fight. That one's on YouTube right now.
Yep.
And
After the end, I'll get these links too.
yeah. And you just see like Batman Smoov. That's my fight persona. I get fully into it, bro. I love it. I love that energy, and I put it on and I entertain. I do my ring walk. This last fight, I brought out a live artist right here. We're sitting in Smoov Fitness, right next to Smoov Fitness. If you can see through these windows, we actually have an in-house recording studio inside of Headquarters Collective. And one of our artists, Stavo, he walked me out to my last fight. It was really cool. It was pretty cool. So I mean, I don't know what amateur fighters doing live walkouts, you know, with the artist. Yeah, he was mic'd up. He actually dropped his debut album a few months ago called Stavo. It's out on all platforms, and he performed his new song Marshawn. He walked me out like, it was awesome, man.
Yeah.
He killed it. And he fired me up, bro. He walked out, it dropped, I turned up, hyped up the crowd, you know, hopped in the ring. Every time I jump in the ring, I jump in there, hype up the crowd, you know. It was fun, man. I love entertaining. It's both, and it just gets me my element, you know. It just like, I'm not even thinking about the fight at all. I'm thinking about showing out, turning up, and I jump in there, and I already have all the energy built, and once I'm in the ring, bro, I'm all powered up and I'm ready to go, and now it's fight time.
Yeah.
But I love being like multi-dimensional like that. Like I can really go from just like, all right, let's show up, let's turn up, all right, let's fight, let's go. You know, like some people are nervous before their fights, but I love it. Man. I love all that stuff. It's all just energy. It's all energy, whether it's like those nerves, those butterflies, just channel that energy. It's just energy, man, and it's getting you ready for that war. So some people love it, some people are scared. I'll even see videos from like pro fighters talking about like how they're really, you know, scared to do this or that. Not everyone's different, you know, but it's like, I love that stuff,
Yeah.
man. It's just all good endorphins for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I love entertaining.
yeah. Do you feel like you ever take risks for the sake of entertainment at the cost of like the fight strategy?
So this one time, I was in a fight. I think it was like my third fight, so it was early in the career, and I forget what happened, but I locked him up and I got him in a clinch, and then I just walked him to the rope and I pushed him against the rope, and I held him down and I was like, "Hi, Mom," and I was waving to my mom in the crowd, and it was so funny, dude. Everyone loved that. It was funny. I loved it. It was funny. So then he was like, "Hi, Mom," and he hit me, and then we like disengaged, and then I was just standing there smiling, and he was kind of laughing. It was funny, bro. It was funny. It was good times. I love to have fun with this, man. Like even my last fight, at the end of round 1. We were going at it. It was a war, bro. We were just trading the whole time for all 3 rounds, nonstop, just throwing. And then the bell rings, and around 1, the like, bing, we pop up, and I'm just like in his face. He's like, "Yeah, bro," and I'm just like, "Yeah," you know. Cool. End of round 2, I was like, "Yeah, let's go." I was hyped up, bro. So I love doing this stuff, man.
How do you feel towards your opponent? Like, do you feel anger, animosity, or is it all just respect and love?
Yeah, no, I never feel any type of way towards my opponents. If anything, like, I show everyone. My thing is I'll show you respect until you don't deserve it. You know what I'm saying? So I've definitely had opponents where I show respect, even after a good fight, whatever, however it went. I always do the respect thing. That's more of a Muay Thai traditional thing, but that's the sport I started in Muay Thai. I got a good coach, you know. So I've always had good sportsmanship. That's just how I am, you know. So I usually do the bowing after the fight and stuff. I've definitely had people like come back. I've never seen him again. So there's been those guys, and then there's homies like Dex, who I just fought. You know, a trilogy fight. I'll fight you again, but we're, you know, in a different sport. But we're cool, you know. Like I got like the homie I was telling you about, D'Anthony, who I was like, "Hi, mom." I fought him twice. You know, we ran it back after that, and we had a crazy war, bro. Where I think I threw like 80 knees, not exaggerating. Like it was a crazy. It was I don't know how he didn't drop, but like props, bro. But like that was insane. But yeah, after that, dude. After that, he was like sitting in the chair, getting him waters and stuff, and we were hanging out after the fight. You know, him and I were like the last two people there, just hanging out. You know, talking about the fight, taking pictures after. I got pictures of both of us with our medals on after. You know, like I'm chill with all my opponents. You know, in fact, I'm trying to get like. I'm launching my own podcast soon, martial art themed podcast, travel and chop it up with past opponents, with different people I've trained with and stuff like that. And that's one of the things I've been working on is that's one of the things that I want to accomplish, getting my old opponents on a podcast with me, just chopping it up. You know, it would be interesting content.
Yeah, that'd
you
be
know?
pretty cool
So,
to see.
yeah, so coming soon. Dex, you want to hop on a podcast? Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does your podcast have a name yet?
Not yet. I'm still brainstorming. It's had like 3 different names, and I had a podcast earlier last year. There's a couple of episodes on YouTube right now, so you can try to find those if you want. But but we're doing it different. So yeah, this will be like the second run at it. But yeah, I'm really trying to grow this podcast because it's been a thing I've been cooking up for a while now, and I want it to grow with my professional career. You know, the whole concept is just to travel and train, essentially. You know, travel around the States, go to high-level gyms, get some training footage, sit down at the end of a few weeks, and do a big podcast episode with the coaches, everyone I train with. Let you guys talk about your gym, your history, all that, kind of what we're doing now. You know, give them a little spotlight, and then move on. And I want to do that for like a year and a half, just travel, train, make footage, and just level up my game. You know, I'll be training with a lot of good people, and then at the end of that run, I want to cap it off by going to Thailand for a few months, training there, making more footage, making more content, and then after that, if everything fits on my timeline, that'll be like 2026, and then I'll go pro. Before, I was kind of rushing the pro thing. I thought I was going to be pro by now, you know, or maybe around the 2 to 3 year mark. But now I'm a little, with everything I got cooking up, with the business and everything else going on, I'm going to take it a little bit slower and just train for another year and a half. I don't have to rush going pro, you know, like I was going to go pro in 2 years. That was my whole goal, you know, but, and I could have done it, but I want to do it right. You know?
Yeah, but what does that mean, do it right?
To me, doing it right is like I'm not just trying to be a striker, right? The whole game plan was just to start with my hands, start with the Muay Thai, the kickboxing, get my striking really proficient, so that when I transition to the ground game stuff, the learning how to do MMA, so that eventually I could get into UFC, get into one, and compete at that level. Like I said, I'm a fighter. I'm a combat sports athlete. I'm not a Muay Thai fighter. I'm not an MMA fighter. I want to do everything and have that ability, you know. So doing it right looks like having, you know, I built up my striking. Now I got to build up my ground game. So once I get my ground game to a proficient level that I'm satisfied with, then I'm going for it, you know. So that way I can go pro and jump in at, like, I've always envisioned myself going pro and then just taking over all those like non-major productions or promotions. Like, I'm not gonna just like go to the UFC. I wanna go conquer this and take over like Glory kickboxing or something, and go over here and take over this MMA or Muay Thai company or whatever, this and that, and just get, you know, I wanna box. I wanna do all these different things. Who knows? Maybe I'll be really big in boxing one day, because it's like the easiest. You take less damage and you can make the most money. You know, so who knows? Maybe I'll do a lot of boxing in the future. But I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it because if I was in it for the money, I would just be a boxer, dude. Like, for real. If I was in it for the money, taking no leg I did like the majority of those 22 fights were Muay Thai kickboxing before I ever touched boxing. My first boxing was August of last year. And like, I mean, I'm not talking smack on boxers, but it's way easier, you know. It's not, in my opinion, my experience with the fights that I've done, boxing is a cake. So.
Do you think there's more money to just since it's been around for a while?
No, it has nothing to do with it's been around longer. It's like, look at boxing as a whole, like the sport, the organization. It's all corrupt. It's all like, it doesn't work it doesn't run the same way that MMA does, especially not the same as Muay Thai and kickboxing. But like, yeah, if I was just in it for the money and not trying to get hurt or whatever, maybe I'd just stick to boxing. But I genuinely love kicking people in the face. Yeah. So I'm just gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna do everything, you know. Yeah.
Cool, man. So yeah, this is kind of what I was trying to do. I really wanted to just get a feel for how you became Smoov, what this means, and then get a feel for where you're going. I kind of see this as an opportunity. First of all, I'd recommend the podcast because it's a good opportunity to like sit down with people and have like, call it like big talk. You know, it's like I'm not a big small talk guy. Like it's, you know, I enjoy chatting and stuff. Exactly. Yeah. But the podcast, it's just like everyone's kind of in that same frame of like we're talking about important things.
Yeah, it cuts off